University, yeah, through adversity. Some people go to universities where they're chosen. Others go to universities where they're tested. In 1996, Derrick Boles didn't have an agent. He didn't have a recruiter. He didn't have a system. He flew himself to Long Beach State with nothing but belief. He sat in the crowd at a Pro-Am game next to the director of the Feedlot Pro-Am League. She turned to him and asked one question.
Do you want to play against the Lakers?
That wasn't an invitation, that was a test. Derrick said yes. He guarded Kobe Bryant for 3 quarters. And by the end of that game, everything changed. Soon after, he signed his first professional contract in Taipei, Taiwan. Sometimes the world believes in you somewhere else first. This is university through adversity. The education you get when no one is coming to save you. Welcome to Courage to Lead.
Man, that's phenomenal, Ty. That's phenomenal. Those are great lyrics, brother.
That's a great story, brother. That's the unstoppable mindset. And today we got Emanuel Kaluuya from Uganda, who I met through Mr. Unstoppables himself. Oh man, and he's gone away just in time. So we've been having these issues the whole morning. It's like he's he appears for some time and then he goes. And I guess we can't blame him because he's in Uganda, and unfortunately the network makes you stoppable sometimes. There's nothing you can do. It just stops you. If you try to be unstoppable.
I love it.
So Derrick, why don't you go ahead and tell the viewers how you met Mr. Emanuel, and we'll give him some time to come back on.
Sure, absolutely. Well, our story is phenomenal because I got introduced to Emanuel through a friend from Idaho who had visited Uganda, and me and Mr. Emanuel had never met in person. He just was following me through social media via multiple platforms, kind of watching what I was doing. And we started to have conversations. We started to set up Zoom calls. This was actually during the pandemic where nobody was not doing anything. And the good thing is the stuff that he's doing is unbelievable. And I was inspired, I was encouraged, and I was hopeful because of the situation that he's in Uganda. He is an unbelievable person. He takes care of 14 kids. He has adopted them. He feeds them. He clothes them. He educates them. He trains them. And he was just connected to my spirit. And people don't want to talk about how powerful the spirit is, but he felt something, and so we started to have conversations. And now I'm excited because I'm going to Uganda. He's setting up a nonprofit, and he's going to name it the Unstoppaboles Institute. And so there's a lot of things that are unfolding. And that gets me excited because, we live in a world right now where everything that we're trying to do is clouded because we have horrible leadership leading the way. And I'm not complaining or making a big deal, but as you know, I wrote the book, The Courage to Lead, which is a big deal. And, it talks about all of the 5 C's that we need to be carrying. And one of the 5 C's is carrying compassion. And I think right now we're struggling to have compassion for our fellow brothers and sisters across the country because compassion is one of the biggest things that we need to be carrying. So that's a little bit of a snapshot of my relationship with Emanuel. And don't get me wrong, I love him to death.
The 5 C's stand for what is it? Compassion?
Yep. So mine is real simple. It's compassion, common sense, character, critical thinking, and the biggest one, courage. And so that's why I have the Unstoppable brand, because I always try to have courage when things aren't going well. When things aren't going right, we have to be willing to step into a space that may be a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit challenging, maybe even doesn't make sense to other people, but when you do what's right, people love and respect that because the world we live in is based on how do we live our lives by doing what's right.
Okay, so the 5 C's. We're going to say it slowly.
So the first one is
Compassion,
compassion. The second one is
competence,
common sense. The third one is character. The fourth one is critical thinking. And then the last one is courage, which is the pinky. I just need a little bit of courage and I can do whatever I want to do. A pinky's
no,
full of courage.
that's actually quite beautiful. I love that, and I just love the whole Unstoppable Institute. And Emmanuel, do you want to show the viewers your shirt there? Because I love the logo. I love how it looks on you. Okay, I don't know if it's frozen again, but
Emmanuel, can you hear us? That's what one of the challenges about when me and Emmanuel, when we talk, sometimes the technology limits our communication because they deal with so many power issues over in South Africa. So,
Uganda, right? He's in Uganda.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges, and I think one of the things that we want to do is we want to be able to build solar farms and provide electricity to a lot of these people in rural Africa. And I think that's the message for the podcast today. The basic premise that I want to start with is that, number one, Africa does not need saving. And I'm going to say that again. Africa does not need saving.
So when you say that, what do you mean by that? Help us understand. Help the listeners tune in. What does that mean?
That means that what it needs are people who refuse to outsource agency. The unstoppable mindset is not about motivation, it's about inevitability.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like, if you think about the diaspora, a lot of times, and even in the international movement, you have people calling Africa all these names, shithole countries, and all this BS. And yet, all of a sudden, you want our gold and our resources and all of our copper and cobalt and lithium and and even our people. I mean, we export our people, our brains.
Well, and I want to add to what you're saying, Tyrone, because whenever we have these conversations, it's profound. But the truth is, we carry our own indifferences for our own people, which creates chaos. And we need to be We need to be working in a collaborative space, with Emmanuel, who's in Uganda, with Derrick, who's in Scottsdale, with Tyrone, who's in Canada. Like, we need to be finding ways to collaborate, because the truth is that's the future of our journey, and we will help the next generation if we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for other people. So all that stuff is super important, Tyrone.
And the next thing that I want to say is that no one is coming to save us, by the way. Not the Chinese.
Even though we love the Chinese community.
Oh, we love them. I love the Chinese. I have nothing wrong with the Chinese. I think China has helped South Africa and people. They've been a great ally. But the reality is that we have to save ourselves. Right? Nobody is going to hand us the secret code and say, "Hey guys, this is how it's done." Right? Because it suits everybody if we aren't organized. And I'm going to say that again. It suits everybody when we are not organized and we're not united. It works in their favor.
Well, and I want to add to what you're saying, because the truth is there will be no Superman to come save our community. And
No.
The issue is we have to hold ourselves accountable. We need to be empowered, and then we need to come up with a strategy and a plan to make sure that everybody is willing to put their egos aside and then be able to step in so that we can help build generations to leverage all of our expertise, all of our entrepreneurship, all of our resources, and then not only that, all of the stuff that we currently have at our disposal. And so I agree with everything you're saying, Tyrone, because the truth is we need to find ways for us to humble ourselves. You know, God talks about us living in a space of humility and then having a little bit of grace and love so that our ego doesn't lead the conversation so we can be part of a team so we can change this planet at a high level.
And that's the whole premise of believing in unity, right? Believe in unity.
Absolutely. And I think one of the stuff that people don't really understand is, I have nonprofits right now that I'm working with all over the United States that are struggling because a lot of their funding and grants have been taken away because of, relationships with our current government. And they're trying to find ways to raise dollars so they can continue to impact communities in their own, in their own space. And so we are trying to get people to really become educated on what we're doing, because once they realize that we can really become empowered and fund our own initiatives, because we have our own relationships to make sure that we can do it without asking other people to provide us dollars, and all that stuff's important.
So, for the unstoppable, what does it really mean? It means you start where you are with what you have, and you do not negotiate with excuses. Is that what the essence of unstoppable is, Derrick?
Yeah, absolutely. So you see the shirt that I'm wearing. I wear this shirt because it's glass. It's glass. And one of the things that I've done my entire life is I have broken through the glass ceiling when they said I couldn't do it. I didn't have any excuses. I didn't have any explanations. I just believed that I could do it. And then I had faith and I had enough courage to step into that space to challenge people to understand sometimes it's not going to look right. Sometimes you're not going to have the resources. Sometimes you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of people in your ear telling you you can't do it. But the real question is, what do you believe? And so that's why I have this shirt that says Unstoppable with the broken glass, because I have broken through the glass, and you're really not going to stop me from where I'm going, because it has nothing to do with you. You don't have that type of power over my life. God has that power. So until he tells me my time is gone, I'm going to be here doing everything I need to do to make this world a better place.
I didn't know that was glass, but I'm so glad you told me now, because I would like to do an animation of you breaking through the glass.
Yes. Yeah, I want to tell you this. So I just booked the opportunity to go to Atlanta to speak to 600 students February 28th, and in partnership with the Atlanta School District. We will be hosting a party. I'm doing the closing keynote with T.I. and Ludacris.
That's pretty
based out of
cool.
Atlanta. And so I'm going to get a chance to rub shoulders, but I would love to invite you, T, because I would love for you to be there, and I would love for you to meet some of the people who are coming into my circle, because now people are starting to see, yep, it has been a challenge, but I never gave up, because I believe what God has put inside my
Which date is this? Which date is this?
February 28th.
Man, I love Ludacris and T.I. So,
Hey,
February 28th,
I'm excited because, the courage to lead is the name of my message at the end, and I'm talking about the 5 C's of leadership.
That's cool. That's cool. We need to get some swag ready for that event, Derrick.
You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me.
Okay.
Emanuel, we're waiting for you to come in and share a little bit about your journey. Tell us when you're ready.
So going back to Emanuel and the Unstoppable Institute in Uganda, Derrick, when we first met, we discussed this, and we told me about your message, Unstoppables, and and I said, what, as an organization, we want to work with organizations like yours, and we would like to partner on setting up these institutions across the continent. Now, of course, I wanted to start it up in Zambia and Zimbabwe first. But then you told me about our friend Emmanuel, and what is the one thing that Emmanuel did for you that you'll never forget? Like, because I think that was a story that really resonated with me, and it was imprinted in me, and it tells you what an amazing person Emmanuel is. Can you please share that with you?
Yeah, Emmanuel did a number of things during our relationship. Remember, it's all been virtual, so we haven't met each other in person yet. But one of the things that Emmanuel did is when I was going through one of my most challenging times, we had a Zoom call, and his words of encouragement were so profound that it resonated with me. Because, I hate to say this, and people don't want to talk about this, but people sometimes get, down on themselves, or they go through challenges, or at the time I hadn't had an opportunity to really engage with my children. And so he was very encouraging to me that even though things didn't look good at the time, and we prayed together. And the fact that he and I prayed together, and he was willing to just pour into my spirit was a big deal. And he didn't really realize it, but that has kept me fighting the fight. And I'm still fighting the fight because words carry power, and his words carried a lot of weight and a lot of gravitas with Mr. Unstoppable. So I'm very thankful. Very
That's
thankful.
beautiful. And I spoke to him earlier before you joined, and he was telling me how he actually went to Zimbabwe. He went on a mission with his church, and I forget which church. Do you remember the church he's part of? Is it the?
I just know that they serve Jesus. That's all that I know.
Okay. So yeah, but they went to all the small cities, Jushavane, Bulawayo, and they were doing all type of mission work there. So I think his heart is in the right place. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, and people don't understand this, and I hate to say this, but I'm gonna have to bring it up because I think it's relevant. The stuff that we're watching with some of the high-profile people in the United States with the Epstein files and some of the crazy things that's happening. The truth is all you have to do is watch people's fruit, and you will know where they stand. And you don't have to, all you got to do is see what they're producing. And so if they are producing chaos and confusion and trying to remain in power and trying to make sure that they are the ones who are receiving all the resources, the fruits will show that. But as you can tell from Emmanuel, his spirit and what he does has nothing to do with him, and he's very selfless. And I love that about him. And I think that's how we are going to be able to judge people moving forward.
No, that's quite beautiful, and I think the reason that people like Emmanuel gravitate to you, Derrick, and even myself, is because you speak about hope and encouragement, and there's no blame, no one's blaming anybody. It's all about what can you do with the cards you're dealt, and doing it with the best with the best attitude and and best effort that you can. You make the best effort, best attitude, and just make life happen. And I think that's the attitude that I want to be associated with, because that's the ethos that I live. Right? I don't blame anybody. I get on with it. If it's hard to raise VC funds, I'm like, hey, you know what? It's cool. I'm going to build anyway, right? We're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on doing this, because that's all we have at the end of the day. All we have is our effort, right? And our brains. And there's Emmanuel again. I don't know, Emmanuel, can you...
Emmanuel, can you hear us? Can you hear us? I can't hear you because we want to have you share your testimony.
Can you hear me?
Maybe you can turn off your camera. I don't know. Maybe we can...
Can you hear me now?
Well, I'll say this, Ty, because I agree with everything you just said, and I love that even with our relationship, because the truth is we only have a limited time on this planet. I would be, I'm continuing to get a little bit older. I'm not getting younger, even though people say I look like Benjamin Button.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely
But my
got that.
point is, at some point, our journey is going to come to an end, and make sure that while we're here, that we have lived our best journey, we have contributed to this world, and not only that, that it was relevant that we lived. And I think some of us aren't in that space because we don't have the maturity to live in that space. I've already faced death on 8 occasions in multiple areas, and God said it wasn't time for me to go. And so I just look forward to being a part of what we're doing and educating people so that they can start living with that unstoppable mindset. Because that's what it is. That's what it is.
No, I love it, and I think as I was saying, that one of the things that the youth in Africa need right now is they need that encouragement. Right? There's so many people that are being led astray by false prophets, right? And people that are outright fraudsters and bad people. I mean, look at Western society. You mentioned Jeffrey Epstein, and it's like the guy was corrupting everybody, and he was a predator. He was a pedophile, the worst scum of society. And all the people that we thought were heroes were actually child predators.
Mm. And again, and I agree with unfortunately that's what the gossip and what the world is saying. But my job is not to judge other people. People are always going to. We're all sinners. We all carry burdens, and we just want them to just work on being better. I just want to do what I can do.
We're not judging,
on the
Derrick.
unstoppable mindset. So I understand what you're saying, but on the other side of that, I'm not. I'm gonna let them work through their own issues, and then I'm just gonna focus on being the best version of me. Because at the end of
And
the
that's what I'm
day,
trying to say is
I'm
that
gonna be real
people need
with you.
you. People need people like you speaking more.
Well, I want to say this because this will hopefully encourage you. At the end of the day, instead of me pointing fingers and throwing stones at other people, let me just work on Derrick Boles, Mr. Unstoppable, so I can be the best
Mhm.
version of me. And if I can do that, now I'm doing something because now I'm being, whenever I show up, my energy and how I move will speak, and I won't have to say a word. And I'm already seeing it. Even like I said, I'm out here in Scottsdale with a good friend, Chris Dunn. We're going to meet with major investors tonight, and I'm gonna put on a green suit representing the Unstoppable brand. So I'm gonna be there suited up to really talk
Nice.
about the vision and what we're trying to do. So yeah, I appreciate everything that you're saying, Ty. And I got a lot of love for you too, brother. FYI.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think your message is what people gravitate towards, right? Being unstoppable, being positive, the 5 C's, those are the building blocks for success. But the right success, right? Because we know, as I just mentioned previously with names we won't ever say again,
Right.
that there's bad success and there's good success. There's bad money and there's good money. There's evil and there is good. Right?
I love it. I love it. And I love how you educate because sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
No. So I love your initiative, and I want to build more of these unstoppable institutes across the continent with you.
Absolutely, and I love that. And so I have a request to see if we can make this happen. You had created a Courage to Lead rap that I'm probably going to use. Compassion in your heartbeat. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Courage to Lead. Can you play that for those who are here? Because this song if you listen to the lyrics and if Ty can get it up, this song is how I'm walking and living my life. Do you have it, T, or no?
1 second. Let's see. Let me find it. I know. I'd uploaded the other one.
It's pretty
But
good because the lyrics really challenge how we're moving in our world right now. It really challenges, when things don't go right, how do we still keep fighting when all of the cards say that you should stop fighting? And
you know what? I'm gonna have to find that song again, and we'll play it for the viewers on the next podcast. But I actually had to jump on another call with some folks from a national airline in Africa that want us to tokenize the entire operation. So I gotta go, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
all right, we'll talk.
All right, take care. Bye.